What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. So we're going to do a stimulus check update today, and we're going to talk about a couple of different things. The first thing we're going to talk about are the numbers. So we have the numbers coming out, GDP numbers, as well as the jobless rate numbers. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Trump. So Trump is mentioned this again, as far as he wants the stimulus checks to be larger than $1,200. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But the first thing I'd like you to do is please hit that like button. If you do that, that will help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So I want to start by doing an overview. I'm going to do these in all my videos. So an overview of the HEALS Act, just so we all know what's on the table, and then we can talk a little bit about the topics of the day. So the HEALS Act right now, we have the enhanced unemployment. They want to drop that from $600 per week to $200 per week, and that'll be for 2 months. And then after that, then they want to be like 70% of your salary. So that's how they want to work that. Stimulus checks are at $1,200 right now, with a $500 per dependent, and there's no age limit on the dependents. $190 billion for PPP loans, $105 billion for schools, and that includes colleges. Liability protection for businesses, hospitals, colleges, universities, $42 billion for COVID testing, vaccines, and therapeutics, and then $1.7 billion for the FBI facility. Now, the FBI facility, there's still Mitch McConnell doesn't want that anymore in the bill. Now, it's pretty interesting because he didn't even know it was in there. He was asked by a reporter about the money for the FBI building, and he looked over his shoulder and asked his aide, like, that's not in the bill, is it? And she had to tell him, yes, it's in the bill.
Why is funding for the FBI building in this bill?
I'm not sure that it is it?
There's $1.75 billion for the, quote, design and construction of the Washington, D.C. headquarters facility for the FPI, according to the bill text. Is it possible there could be a $2 billion provision in here that you don't even know about?
Well, with regard to that proposal, obviously we had to have an agreement with the administration in order to get started. And they'll have to answer the question of why they insisted on that provision.
Support that being in there?
You'll have to ask them why they insisted that be included.
So he does want to get that out of there. This is something that Trump wanted, and so they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with that. So you have the White House wanting it, and then you have Mitch McConnell not really too into it. So that's where we are with the HEALS Act as of right now. Right now, things are pretty stalled. I mean, you have negotiations going on with Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Stephen Mnuchin, Mark Meadows. Mitch McConnell is not in the room right now, so he's not negotiating this with them directly. So that's pretty interesting in itself. But Stephen Mnuchin and Mark Meadows is kind of going back and forth, relaying messages. So they're not close right now. They're not close. The liability protection is one of the issues that they have. Enhanced unemployment is also another issue that they can't come to an agreement on. Tomorrow, enhanced unemployment will officially expire. And so we'll have to see what happens tomorrow, see if anything happens tomorrow. But that's where we are right now with the HEALS Act. So let's talk about some jobs numbers. So we know the GDP, we saw the second quarter drop 32.9%. So that is the worst drop in 145 years. So that's really bad. So we're in a situation right now where this is more of a reason why a stimulus package with stimulus checks, generous stimulus checks, are really needed, as well as the enhanced unemployment. We need to continue to keep it at that same rate. That's just the way that I see things, at least when it comes to the enhanced unemployment. And my take on it, you could have that $600 per week at least another 2 months. And then in October, when you were planning to drop it from 70% or drop it down to 70% of your salary, then you can at that point, then you can reevaluate it and see if it's needed. If not, then drop it to the 70%. But I don't think dropping it to the $200 per week is a smart move right now, because things aren't getting better. We see the jobless rate. Jobless rate is now 1.43 million people filed new claims last week, and that's up. Okay, so the week before last, it was 1.4 million. Now it's 1.43 million. So now it's starting to go up again, and that's not a good sign. So that's just showing that more people are filing for unemployment. So why are we going to start now taking away that enhanced unemployment money? The argument, of course, is, well, people are making more money on unemployment than they're making in a regular job, and there's no incentive to go back to work and all this stuff. Well, the reality is a lot of these businesses are not hiring people right now. And if you really wanted to address that issue, and I say this all the time, and some states are already doing this, if you really want to address this issue, then it becomes a situation where if an employer calls their employee and says, hey, you need to come back to work, and they're offering them the same salary and everything, then they need to take that job. As long as it's a safe environment and everything like that, then they need to take that job. If they don't take the job, then they lose their unemployment benefits. That can always be put in place and keep the enhanced unemployment at $600 per week for that situation. But they just want to drop it. So if you just drop it, you're dropping it for everyone. So now everyone, even people who weren't making more on unemployment than they're making in their regular job, they're going to suffer as well as far as the money coming in. So I'm not for that. I think they need to keep it at 600. Now let's talk about Trump. So Trump, in a press conference yesterday, I'm going to read some of the stuff that he said, but he was asked by a reporter about the $1,200 stimulus check. Do you think that that's enough? What do you think about it? And he said, and this is his quote, "It may go higher than that, actually." And I'm going to tell you his strategy because I know what he's doing already. So I'm going to tell you his strategy. Or this is my opinion, but I think this is pretty valid, and it sounds like something that would come from the White House. So he said, let me repeat it again, "It may go higher than that, actually." So that's talk about the $1,200 stimulus check. "I'd like to see it be very high because I love the people." This is, classic Trump, right? "I want the people to get it." And so these are the quotes that he said in this press conference. Now, the strategy. Now, I think what's going on right now, we already know that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are meeting with Stephen Mnuchin and Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows is the chief of staff. Stephen Mnuchin is a Treasury secretary. They all work, with the White House. And then you have Mitch McConnell, who is the majority leader in the Senate. He's not in the meetings right now. So I think what's going on in these meetings is they're talking about the enhanced unemployment and the stimulus checks. Democrats have already said that they're willing to negotiate, but if you are going to take from the enhanced unemployment, then we want higher stimulus checks, higher than the $1,200. So that's what they're negotiating right now. So I think I'm not going to say they're close because I don't think they're close, but I'm just saying I think the Democrats are starting to pitch, okay, you know what, we want $2,000 stimulus check instead of the $1,200, saying that kind of stuff. So $2,000 for the stimulus check and then the $200 per week for the enhanced unemployment. So I think they're trying to work deals out like that. And so this information is going to the president, right? He's getting this information, and I think he's trying to get ahead of the game by saying, oh, yeah, you know what? I still want it higher than the $1,200. And he's saying that because he knows the Democrats are trying to push for higher. And so that way, if it does go higher, guess what? He's going to take credit for it and say that, no, this wasn't the Democrats. This was our negotiating. We're the ones that wanted it higher. But the reality is, I mean, let's face it, they presented a proposal of $1,200. Now, you can say they presented that proposal of $1,200 for a stimulus check because they wanted to work their way up. I highly doubt that, only because you have Republican senators that don't even want a stimulus check at all. They don't want a stimulus package at all. So I don't really know if they would have gone. They might have even gone lower if they could have, or none at all. I don't think that's their strategy. I think their strategy is they know the Democrats want more when it comes to stimulus check. So Trump wants to get out in front of that and say, yeah, I want more. I want more. So if it is more, he can say, yep, see, I told you, this is what I wanted and this is what we got. Because we're seeing that the Republicans in the Senate are not really listening to the president. They're really not. Payroll tax cut, they didn't go with that. The stimulus check being larger, they didn't go with that. So I think that's what the strategy is. But I want to know what you guys think. So down below, let me know what you think about that. But I think that's kind of how he's trying to work this out. So we're going to have to see what happens tomorrow. It'll be a very busy day because tomorrow is the expiration date for the enhanced unemployment. Will anything happen? Will they do some type of, right now, Republicans are talking about they wanted, a skinny bill, and they want to just kind of pass a few things through, not pass like a full bill. Democrats are against that because they want to be able to include all the stuff in one bill and not have to have things get left aside because, oh, you know, we'll you know, put out this fire, then we'll put out that fire, then we'll put out this fire, and then you're going to have some fires that are not going to be put out. So that's kind of the way things are going right now. They want to do a skinny bill to keep from having enhanced unemployment expire, but we'll have to see. Maybe you just extend the $600 for another month or 2 months and then go from there. But we'll see where they go with this. Thank you guys for stopping by. Please hit that like button. Like I said, it helps the algorithm. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.